Let us understand e-commerce framework. E-commerce framework consists of a software framework which is required for e-commerce applications. Different types of e-commerce applications can be developed using such a framework. So once an e-commerce framework is developed, we can develop any number of e-commerce applications. So e-commerce applications require this software framework. Such software framework consists of four layers and two pillars. Let us understand these four layers and two pillars in detail. The four layers are: first layer is highway known as information superhighway. Second layer is multimedia content and network publishing infrastructure. And layer 3 is messaging and information distribution infrastructure. And last layer is security protection in business services. These four layers are arranged in this way. So at the bottom there is layer 1, that is known as highway infrastructure, on top of which there is a second layer that is known as multimedia content and network publishing infrastructure, above which there is layer 3, messaging and information distribution infrastructure, and on the top there is a layer 4, that is a security protection and in business services. In addition to these four layers, there are two pillars. Pillar 1 is public policy and legal infrastructure, and pillar 2 is technical standards. So these are four layers and two pillars that are forming what is known as e-commerce framework. Once this e-commerce framework is developed, then a wide variety of e-commerce applications for online shopping or online banking or online games or online entertainment or supply chain management. In this way, a number of different e-commerce applications can be developed. Let us understand each layer and each pillar in detail. So the first layer, known as highway infrastructure, it is the foundation layer. Very first layer consists of hardware and software infrastructure. The information superhighway, in simple known as highway, is a high-speed network with telephone cables, optical fiber cables, cellular connections and satellite connections. That is, it is a high-speed, wired or wireless network. Millions of systems and communication networks and software form the information superhighway. So the information superhighway consists of millions of systems with communication networks and the required software. Such information superhighway carries different types of data like voice or text or videos or other such content across the globe. The second layer is multimedia content and network publishing infrastructure. What does it mean, multimedia? Multimedia means various types of data like text, images, audios, videos, numerical data which is in tabular format, similarly graphical representation of data. So all these things, text, images, audios, videos, tabular data, graphical data, all these things put together is known as multimedia. So different types or different combinations of data. In this layer, the multimedia content is developed in the form of web pages. Using all such web pages, a website is created, and this process is known as publishing. So publishing means it is nothing but creating a website with a number of web pages where each web page consists of multimedia. And all such web pages consist of a website address known as a URL, stands for Uniform Resource Locator. Now the third layer, that is known as messaging and information distribution infrastructure. In e-commerce, different messages or information are to be delivered or exchanged, like order tracking information, whether item is delivered or whether the item delivery got delayed. In this way, different messages or informations are to be delivered or exchanged. For this purpose, different protocols like SMTP, FTP, or HTTP are used. Using SMTP, as the name itself indicates, a simple mail transfer protocol is used for composing and sending an email. Similarly, using FTP, stands for File Transfer Protocol, different files can be transferred among computers. Next, it is the HTTP, stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. The web pages can be delivered. The non-formatted data is sent using emails, and at the same time the formatted data is sent using EDI, stands for Electronic Data Interchange, where there is no human intervention. So without human intervention in EDI, the data is delivered. Now the last layer, that is fourth layer, stands for security protection in business services. The ultimate goal of e-commerce is that the seller gets the payment and the buyer gets the product. So the customer pays the amount, and it is the duty of the seller, that is the online seller, to deliver the product. Thus, providing the payment security on the web is very important in order to ensure transaction security. Thus, this layer is really very important for both business organizations and consumers, because while paying the amount, if interceptors or hackers steal the data, the amount may not reach the seller. Instead, it goes into the account of hackers. So the customer got cheated and he may not get the required product. Similarly, the online sellers lose the business because of this kind of uh, hacking activities. That is the reason why this layer is really important for both business organizations and also the customers. So now we looked at all the four layers that are forming e-commerce framework. Now we need to understand the two pillars of e-commerce framework. First layer is public policy and legal infrastructure. A public policy is required to specify universal access, pricing, that is, what is the pricing of government operators and what is the pricing of private operators. Similarly, the subsidies, that is, the benefits that are offered to different operators. Similarly, the government regulations in order to ensure public privacy and universal access, that is, the service made available to different customers or consumers. So for all these things, a public policy is required. Similarly, a set of regulations are required to protect the customers from frauds and to detect information pirating. So for this, a set of regulations are required. And the second pillar is technical standards. These technical standards are required to ensure seamless and harmonious data transfer among all the devices in a network. So a network may contain different types of devices, and it should also make sure that the information can be accessed on any type of device the consumer chooses and on all operating systems. So mobiles consist of one type of hardware and software, and laptops, desktops. In this way, different types of devices consist of different hardware and different operating systems, and technical standards are required in order to ensure seamless and harmonious data transfer among all these devices in the network. So now we understood all the four layers. Similarly, the two pillars which are forming e-commerce framework. Once this e-commerce framework is developed with four layers and two pillars, a wide variety of e-commerce applications can be developed. So, different types of e-commerce applications that are meant for online shopping or online entertainment or online games, online banking or supply chain management. In this way, different types of e-commerce applications can be developed once the e-commerce framework is developed. So, in this topic, we understood the e-commerce framework, which consists of four layers. So, layer 1, that is highway infrastructure. Layer 2, that is multimedia content and network publishing infrastructure, in which a number of web pages are created using multimedia, and using all such web pages, a website is created, which is known as publishing. Similarly, layer 3, that is messaging and information distribution infrastructure. In this layer, the messages, how the messages are delivered to the customers are understood. And last layer, very important one, both for customers and also for online sellers, that is the security protection in business services. Because customers make the payment online, certainly there is a chance of cyber attacks. That is the reason why both the customers and online sellers are to be protected. That is the reason why security is to be enforced. Similarly, a pillar, that is public policy and legal infrastructure, and another pillar, that is technical standards, is required. These technical standards provide or define technical standards in order to ensure seamless data transfer across all the devices. Once this e-commerce framework is developed, then a number of e-commerce applications can be developed, which make use of all these four layers and two pillars. So that is about e-commerce framework.